Oh, hey, cats. Come on, have a seat. Make yourself comfortable. My last video, I talked about traveling, whether I would decide to travel, go somewhere or not. My friend Buzz, some of you guys have met him in some of my other videos. A good friend of mine. Do something together at least once a week. Um, he travels a lot, but he always has the same destination. Every year, twice a year, he flies to the Philippine Islands. He has his girlfriend there. He's had for years, and he enjoys spending time with her. So he'll go and he'll stay like I think like a whole month each time he goes. Uh, and it really enjoys it there. Really likes it there. And he has every time that I do something with him, he's always talking about the Philippines, and he's encouraged me to go down there. He says, "Man, you'd love it there. You should go to the Philippines. It's beautiful. There's so much to see. There's so much to do. You got the white sand, the palm trees. You got the islands. You've got a volcano. You've got reefs and the ocean, and it's gorgeous, and then the people, he says, are so friendly, so nice. And he says, you should go. And I go, nah, I'm not going, I must have told him 100 times. Well, a few weeks back, he says, why don't you come to the Philippines with me? Let's do it. And I thought, okay, I've said no 100 times. I can't turn him down again. I said, all right, I'll go with you. And so guess what? I'm flying to the Philippines with Buzz. Buzz and I are going to the Philippines. We're going to meet his girlfriend down there, and then we're going to spend a few weeks and hanging out. I'm going to go for a couple of weeks. He's going to probably stay for the whole month. But they're going to show me around. We're going to stay in some resorts. It's like, wow. Okay, I pulled the trigger on this. So we went ahead and we purchased the tickets, round trip tickets. And what surprises me, to fly all the way to the Philippines, which is on the other side of the world from here. It's just about, if you were to draw a line straight through the earth, it's probably right about there on the other side of the world. They say dig a hole to China. I'd probably dig a hole to the Philippines. But we're going to fly all the way around the world, and it's really not that expensive. I was really shocked. I thought it would cost a lot more money to fly to the Philippines, but no. It probably costs the same to fly to California. So anyways, we booked the flights. We actually fly from out of Cleveland, and it takes us to Seattle, Washington. And then from Seattle, Washington, we fly to Taipei, Taiwan. And there's a layover at each airport. And then from Taiwan, we fly to Cebu in the Philippines. And then we'll go off from there to whatever direction we're going to go. I'm leaving it up to Buzz because he's been there. He knows the place very well. He knows where to go, where not to go. And he knows where the resorts are and the nice places to stay. So he's booking all of that. And then, I'll just tally up with him. But, yeah, it's kind of almost surrealistic for me. I do have my intimidations about it, but thankfully I got Buzz because he's an experienced traveler there. He's been there a lot. He's been telling me what to do, what not to do, how to pack my luggage, what to take, what not to take. So that's been very, very helpful for me, and I'm very grateful for him for that, because if I was, going there on my own for the first time and not having a clue, I can already tell you I'd already be making a few mistakes. So I've got it pretty much down to a science, thanks to him. So, yeah, I'm going to start packing my bags, and then we'll be off. You know, a couple weeks, I'll be on the other side of the world. So that'll be interesting. That'll be something, and I should have a lot of video content for you too, because I mean, it's beautiful. I've been watching a lot of videos about the Philippines, and there's places where you can go swimming, like spring pools with waterfalls, beautiful waterfalls cascading down. You can go lay out on a beach with palm trees, and get yourself a coconut drink, to sip on. And there's markets that you can shop around in, and I think one of the only things I'm not worried about it, because I'm pretty open-minded when it comes to food, but the meals are going to be a little bit different than what we're used to here in the U.S. So I'm not real 100% sure what to expect. I know they do serve a lot of fish, but they do have chicken and pork too. But it's how they cook it and where they cook it, that could be suspect. So I think you just have to be careful there, and then the water too. I'll have to learn what I can drink and what I shouldn't drink. Are the ice cubes okay to put in your water? Because the last thing you want to do is end up getting dysentery or diarrhea, and then spending the rest of your time on the toilet. From what Buzz tells me, the places that we're going to stay are pretty modern. They'll have a full bathroom and everything, so I don't have to, squat over a hole in the ground somewhere. It's not that primitive. But there are a lot of different worlds there when you go to the Philippines. There's the big cities like Manila, or and those are big cities, and there's a lot going on there. And we're staying out of there. We're not going to the big cities. We'll be going out more in what they call the provinces. The more into the country, the small villages and towns. So there's things we can do there too. You can actually rent motorbikes there now. They don't have Harleys there, okay? So I won't be riding a big, 90 cubic inch Harley Fat Boy. But they have scooters. They're motorbikes. They kind of resemble a scooter, but they kind of almost look like a sport bike. And I think that probably only go up to like 250cc. 125 is probably a common cc there. So, but they have, the smaller motorcycle type things, and you can rent them relatively cheap and ride all over the island, wherever you are. So I'm probably going to look into that, and I could see myself riding a scooter around, just exploring the island that way. But I want to get a lot of video footage too for you guys, and it's I'm sure it's going to be different. I'm really have no idea what to expect, but it sounds like it's going to be an experience of a lifetime for me. There is going to be a jet lag thing, because on the other side of the world, it's completely opposite of the time here. Like, if it's morning here, it's going to be evening there. And then flying there, we actually lose a day. So, the flight will leave on Thursday, but we won't arrive until Saturday, because we lose a whole day. And then on the way back, we gain a day. So I'll be right back where I started from. It's confusing, but when there's a time change like that, yeah. So it's a real jet lag coming home, trying to readjust, because you get there, you're going to be used to, waking up, when here I'd be going to bed. So when I get home, it's going to be a whole flip-flop of that time change thing. But like I said, I'm going for 2 weeks. Buzz told me, he said 2 weeks is not enough time. There's so much to do there, 2 weeks is just not enough time. And then when you figure out the flight there and back, you subtract those days away from your 2 week vacation. That narrows it down even more. So, but yeah, I don't want to stay away from home that long. I don't want to leave my castle here for that long. Um, my son has offered to come over here and man the place while I'm gone, though, so it isn't like it'll be abandoned or anything for a couple weeks either. Uh, yeah. So wow, that's exciting news for me. I'm thrilled about it. The wheels are already turning. We're already, counting down the days. I can start packing my baggage and get ready to go. And I'm going to keep watching more videos, learn more about it, learn there's some do's and don'ts when you're over there. You're not in Kansas anymore, and you know, hopefully I get there and I get home safely in one piece, because you know, you never know what could happen. Just a couple days ago, the volcano there erupted, and I don't think it was a hazard to anybody. It just blew out all the flumes of the volcanic ash into the air, and then that dust settles out. But they said that's been going on for years. It's nothing new, so it just randomly blows off its lid and throws the stuff the ash up into the air. And it looks like the wind was taken at the opposite direction of where we're going to be staying anyways. So I don't think that would be a problem either. Um, there could be some politics in play there that they don't have anything to do with the U.S. here. So you got to mind your P's and Q's with that regard too, and just pray that everything goes smooth while you're there, that we can enjoy the time. So anyways, cats, that's the plan. That's what I'm doing. I'm finally pulling the trigger. I'm finally taking a trip somewhere. It's, getting off my wallet, spending a little bit of money and having some fun and doing something completely out of my ballpark, something that I'm not used to doing. I don't think I've traveled to Cancun, Mexico before. I've traveled to Punta Cana in the Dominican before. And those are the only 2 times I've been out of the country other than going to Canada. I've been in Canada too. But I don't count Canada really as leaving the country because it's not that far away from here. I could drive there in less than a day. I can be in Canada in my own car. So I don't, that's not, I just don't consider that the same. But, going to Cancun, that's a little flight to get down there. Actually, one of my favorite vacations was in Cancun. We stayed at a resort. V and I stayed at a resort down there, and we had the time of our lives. That was awesome. It was all inclusive, covered everything. We had drinks, dinners, entertainment. We stayed at an adult resort, so there was no kids there. It was just all adults, and that was nice too. Because I don't want to go somewhere where there's a bunch of noisy kids screaming and fussing and bawling. Who was telling me they went out to eat the other day, and somebody had their baby or a toddler who was crying the whole time they were trying to eat their dinner, and he said, he said it's the most annoying thing in the world. Like, okay, the parents go out to eat, they bring their child, but then when their child's crying and bawling and fussing, they do nothing. They just continue to eat their dinner like they're ignoring it. But everyone else in the restaurant has to hear that. So, I don't want to go somewhere where I have to hear that. So we got the adult resort in Cancun, and that was nice because no kids. It was quiet. It was comfortable. And being in an adult resort, of course, we did see some nudity because down there it was legal, to go topless or whatever. But I can guarantee you, most of the sites that were to be seen, nah, yeah, they weren't worth looking at. So that wasn't an issue either. You just let people do their own thing, mind your own business, and just enjoy the time we had there. with the all the food and the drink and the relaxation and some of the tours we took while we were down there. It was great. It was a great vacation. In fact, I have a video of it up. I'll probably put it up at the end of this video if you're interested to watch the Cancun vacation. If I can find it, I'll tag that on here. But that was a really fun trip. Probably the funnest times I ever had leaving the country. The trip that I took to Punta Cana was for my daughter's wedding. My daughter got married down there at the resort. And that was different because that country's kind of divided, and they told us, they said, do not leave the resort. We strongly recommend you do not leave the resort. Well, I needed some change to tip because I tip everybody down, when you're on a vacation like that. And I needed some bills, and you give those people $1 and they think you've given them a 20 or a 100. So the bank was outside the resort across the parking lot. And so I said, well, I got to go to the bank because I got to get change. They wouldn't give change anywhere at the resort. They said the only place you can get change is at the bank. So I left the resort and I walked probably about a block to get to. It wasn't anything, it's just pretty much across a large parking area, and the bank was right there. And I walked into the bank. It was a really small room with one window teller. And I walked in, and there was a armed guard standing there with an Uzi or a machine gun, and he was dressed in black, and the lady was behind like an iron cage. And I walked up there, and I said, good day. I at that time I learned a little bit of Spanish so I could speak, to them. And I told her I needed some. I gave her 20, and I wanted dollar bills, and she said, "No, I don't. I'm gonna give you no change." And I looked at her puzzled, and I said, "They told me I could come here to the bank and exchange my 20 for bills." And she said, "No, I can't do that." And I said, "With all the tourism here, you don't have dollar bills that you can give me change?" The guard behind me cocks his gun and says, "I think it's time you leave." I didn't ask another question. I just turned around, walked out the door, and went back to the resort. No. I'm not going to argue with the guy with a machine gun. I'm out of here. And that was it. I just couldn't leave any more tips. I didn't have any more change. Perhaps I should have thought ahead of time, but you don't know some of these things until you get there. But anyway, that was an experience. That was in Punta Cana. That was not in Cancun, Mexico, in the Dominican Republic. And yeah, it's kind of a scary place. You could go down to the beach, but if you stepped went through the gate and went out to the beach where the Caribbean Sea was, or the whatever the ocean is there. You were not in the resort anymore. You were on the beach, and there was the native people there. The guys would prey on you. In other words, they'd come up and they'd approach you and they'd want to sell you stuff. And if you didn't want to buy it, they'd get angry. They'd get irritated with you. Well, they came up and back then I had the Fu Manchu mustache. I didn't have the full beard. And they said, "Hey, Mr. Mustache, you do me a favor, And I said, "Well, what's that?" And these were like, black Haitians or Dominicans. And they said, "Hey, maybe you get us a drink, because you're in the resort there, you get free drinks. Maybe you bring us a drink." And I said, "Well, yeah, I can do that." And they said, "Well, here's what you do." They said, "Go in the resort and go to that bar over there on the left and tell that bartender you want a shot of bourbon and you want a glass of water to go with it." I said, okay. So I'm thinking, oh, these guys, there's like three guys there. They want like one shot and a glass of water. Okay. So I go back into the resort. I go through the gate. I go back in the resort. I go over to this bar, and I walk in there, and I said, yeah, I would like a shot, one shot of bourbon and a glass of water. And the bartender looks at me for a minute, and then he kind of winks and nods. He gets a cup, like a solo cup, and he almost fills that thing half full of bourbon, and he slides it out to me. He knew exactly what I was doing, and I guess that was the code for them, the guys out on the beach. So I took the cup of bourbon and I just kind of, acted like I was moseying around. I'm not doing anything here. I'm just carrying this cup of bourbon. Don't mind me. And then I kind of walked back out onto the beach, and I didn't see the guys anywhere. And they whistle, and I look, and they're way over there by this, little hutch over there. So I walked over there. There had to be like 6, 7 guys over there. And man, were they eager to get that cup of bourbon. They took that thing out of my hand so quick. And they wanted me to go back and get more. And I said, no, 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 no. I'm not going to be a courier for you to be, I really had no idea what was going on there until it was already done, said and done. And I said, no, I'm not doing any more. And the guy got angry with me, and he says, hey, Mr. Mustache, maybe you come out and take a walk down the beach, and maybe you don't come back. Maybe that happened too. And that, for some reason, that triggered me, and I just got pissed off, and I just started going off on the guy. Go, what the heck? Who do you think I am? You try to take me out, you're going to see what happens. And I don't think they were expecting that at all. They pretty much backed off, and they're like, no, 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 you friend. I was like, all right, just as long as we're cool. I said, don't try pulling any crap on me. And I went back into the resort. And then I was cautious about going back out on the beach again. I thought, man, I don't know. Those guys are out there just like wolves preying on people. I'm not going back out there again. So that trip wasn't, it was memorable, no doubt, but it wasn't as nice as the Cancun trip in Mexico that V and I went on. Well, anyway, that's the big story for today. That's the big news for today. Yeah, getting ready to fly. So I've got to start packing my bags and get ready to go. Well, thanks for watching. If you like this video, hit me with that like button and boost up my ratings a little bit for me, please. And if you haven't yet, please subscribe and continue to join me on this journey. And stay tuned, and I should have some pretty good footage of the Philippine Islands. So, looking forward to it. And I hope you guys will join me with that. So, until next time, I got to get busy. I got some things to do around here before it comes time for me to head out. I'll catch you all later.